Editing Robin in here to give a bit of a spoiler warning since these are theories. They are inherently like minor spoilers, but when I'm writing this, I actually have no idea. I just watched the trailer and like press tours, but just be wary if you don't want any spoilers. And I'll be looking down at my notes because I'm trying to speed run through this because I just got off of work, but I'm reading out of my Spider-Man notebook as well, so that's fun. Hi, it's Robin. So I'm watching Brand New Day tomorrow. Right now it's Thursday, July 30th, and so I'm gonna be seeing it tomorrow night. Unfortunately, I would have watched it tonight, but I couldn't. So I still want to give out my predictions before I watch because that's honestly the most fun part of watching a movie, Loki. Not really, but I'm just super excited about seeing it, and I'm trying to stay off of social media. The only way I can occupy my mind right now is thinking of a bunch of theories and talking to my friends about it, and why not make a video? So we can just get into it. I want this video to be super quick. So plot number one, I think of course we all see that Peter is sad, and I think that is what caused Peter to mutate. And so I think that makes the Department of Defense, I think that makes the Department of Damage Control kind of get onto his ass a little bit and like keep an eye on him. And I think we all know that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey, so I think that Jean Grey is actually under custody of the Department of Damage Control, and that's why like she's trying to mind control Peter, because you can see in the trailer like his mind gets all wibbly wobbly. But I think his spidey senses stop her in the same way that like his spidey senses helped him in Far From Home, and why and it's also the same reason why Doctor Strange why his spidey senses were working when Doctor Strange like took him out of his body. And so I think that that is why Jean Grey can't like do her mind control powers. I think of course the Hulk is in that movie, so I think that Banner's purpose is to help Peter. I think Peter goes to Banner in order to get help with like his mutation, so that the Department of Defense can like Department of Damage Control can get off of him. But then Jean Grey controls Banner, that causes him to Hulk out because something's wrong with him, and so he like fights Peter, and that's our maybe Act 2 fight. And then after that, this is where I get a little lost because I'm like, I don't know if Jean Grey, if she's playing like a Magneto type, I don't know if the third act fight would really be a Jean Grey versus Spider-Man fight. It's kind of weird to me. So here's what I'm hoping, even though it's probably not gonna happen. What I'm hoping is that Jean Grey is a red herring and that Mr. Negative is the actual villain, because their powers are kind of similar. Mr. Negative like corrupts people, corrupts their minds, and that also would make sense in terms of why there's ninjas, why like Punisher, another another street level hero, is also in the movie. And then I think whoever it is, Jean Grey or Mr. Negative, is going to threaten Peter because they can't use the mind control because Peter is you know, Peter's spidey senses. So they're going to threaten Peter, and that's why in the trailer the villain says, why don't I pay a little visit to MJ? And so that means that the villain knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So either like maybe it's when Jean Grey or Mr. Negative or whoever kind of takes control of Banner when he's Hulk, like Hulk still has memories of him, something. But we know that they know that he's Peter Parker, and so I think that's why Peter, when like in No Way Home, he tries to stay away from Ned and MJ. I think that's gonna motivate him to kind of stalk MJ and Ned even more and kind of like make sure that they're safe so that like the villain of the movie doesn't reach them. I think he probably gets a little too close, and that's where we get that conflict. And this is really stupid, but he gets close to MJ. MJ has a boyfriend, but like they get a little close, and then boom, we have our upside down Spider-Man hanging canon event. Spider-Man upside down. We have our Spider-Man hanging upside down kiss canon event. It's probably not gonna happen, but it could. I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, well, if it's Mr. Negative, maybe like the actual final fight is Mr. Negative versus maybe the actual final fight is Mr. Negative versus like Jean Grey and Spider-Man, that brings Jean Grey in so they can bring in the X-Men, the new X-Men reboot, and then Spider-Man, you know, gets his glory and all of that. And but the damage of the Department of Damage Control being the villain at the end and like Jean Grey fighting them, like Jean, you know, that kind of makes sense too, because Punisher and Hulk and Spider-Man would both be people that the Department of Damage Control kind of would be keeping an eye on, especially Punisher being like his track record, especially in Daredevil and Punisher. And preface, I haven't finished. I haven't caught up to Daredevil or Punisher, but I've seen a good bit. So the thing is, though, what confuses me if it's, I think we're gonna get Man Spider. I don't think we're gonna get a full like 4 arms, 2 legs Man Spider, but I do think since we have biological webs in the trailer that we are gonna get more of a Man Spider than a Venom. But then that doesn't explain why Zendaya has been wearing black throughout the entire press shoot, so I don't know. That's why I'm a little confused. Yeah, I'm a little weary about Jean Grey being the villain because I don't want it to be like the power of friendship at the end where like the whole movie Peter is just like convincing Punisher and convincing Jean Grey that like you have to be good, you have to be one of the good guys. Like, of course Spider-Man at the end is always the good guy, but like in a movie where he's super depressed, I want there to be a little bit of a gray area in terms of his morality, and not just, you know, like in No Way Home when Aunt May dies. Like, I want it to be not from a stupid reason. Oh yeah, does anyone die? Because everyone thinks that the black either represents Venom or represents like funeral mourning that Zendaya is wearing, and so I'm wondering if either MJ or Peter dies. And I know it's gonna be really crazy, but think about it. Just think about it. Peter dies and then he gets resurrected. He gets resurrected in Secret Wars with the symbiote. But yeah, Occam's razor is telling me that it's like Jean Grey in the Department of Damage Control, especially with like the body scans and the mind control and all that stuff. But I'm hoping that Destin Daniel Cretton goes a little different with it. I don't want it to be a typical Spider-Man movie or a typical Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I do want it to be darker, but we'll just have to see. So yeah, some of these were nonsensical. I know like I didn't really have like a really concrete idea because I honestly don't know. I think again, like the most likely is like Jean Grey villain switching to like Department of Damage Control villain, but I think it'd be super awesome if we got Mr. Negative and then like Man Spider representing like depression. I'm hoping the Punisher isn't kidified, and yeah, I guess that's basically it. That was a lot quicker than I thought it was gonna be. But yeah, the Mr. Negative, the ninjas, Punisher, all of that is kind of making me lean towards like a mob boss villain, but I don't know. And we got like at the beginning, we got a lot of talk about Steven Yeun being like a villain in the MCU and how they really wanted him to be, and so maybe they did a really good job of keeping it hush hush. I don't know, because they spend a lot of money on marketing, so I wouldn't think that they would, but I don't know. Zendaya wore a Mr. Negative suit. They like the Insomniac games. I don't know. Anyways, okay. If you like the video, let me know what you think down below. Try not to spoil if you have seen the movie when you're watching this, or like preface that to spoilers. And yeah, thanks for watching. I wish you guys all the best.